the video about the importance of Holocaust education, why it's important for me and you to be sitting here with Kevin, why is it important for us to be watching the videos and learning about the stuff that's happened, historically.
Well, life in Germany before the advent of Adolf Hitler was really a very pleasant life. But once Hitler and his cohorts got into power, the laws began to be passed that restricted life for Jews, and the propaganda machine that Goebbels and his cohorts turned out, the Stürmer, which was a newspaper that really was almost obscenely insidious in its creation, in its depiction of Jewish life and Jewish practices, and really all manufactured. The kids my age had to belong to the youth group, and their loyalty was to their youth leader, not to their parents or to their relatives. The loyalty was to Adolf Hitler. And if they had any criticism that they heard from their parents about what Hitler was up to, and they reported it to their youth leader, which was their duty and responsibility, then the parents could be interned and could be very harshly treated. So the civil liberties began to disappear. You could no longer voice your opinion on any subject. You had to hew the party line, and religious practices were discouraged. Your duty was to the state, to the nation, and not to your faith or to your family or to your friends. And so it became very threatening to live there. You had to be very careful of what you said in public or even among those who you thought were your friends, because you could be reported. So you became very careful of what you said. You were very restricted of where you could go, and you were threatened. At any time, the stormtroopers could come in and give you problems. And this kind of loss of civil rights, of your ability to speak up and to defend yourself, this is, of course, a great danger to free-thinking people and to the ability of people to flourish, to create, to become productive in society. That is not possible under this regime. And if that kind of thinking permeates any society, wherever we may be, we are in serious danger of losing all of our rights, our civil rights, and our religious rights.
If you had to give advice to my students, if you had to give advice to my kids about the world today and how they should act, so on and so forth, what they should they do this or that when they see things happening, what kind of advice would you give to the students of today?
The worst thing to do is to be a bystander and not to act for the beliefs that you hold. If you see injustices being done and you stand by and do nothing about it, then you are almost as guilty as the people who are doing the injustice. And so it's important to stand for your rights and to defend your rights and do it with pride.
Is there anything else you want to say?
Not really. You can't think of anything.
Any questions?
Would you mind doing the first question one more time?
What was the question?
It was about growing up and being chased home.
Oh, okay. Because you were moving the lights?
Yeah, I moved the light.
Yeah.
I tweaked the light.
So, at the very beginning, you told me the story about going to school and getting chased home by the older kids.
Oh, yeah.
Can we tell that story again?
All right. We went to a small parochial school, an elementary school, and meanwhile, the non-Jewish kids went to regular public schools, and the public schools encouraged anti-Semitism and the expression of self-expression of the students to go after the Jewish boys and girls in the parochial school. So what they did, the high schools let their students out a few minutes earlier so that they could come and lie in wait for our dismissal time in the elementary school, in the parochial school. So when we got out of school, these kids were waiting for us. And they were usually bigger because they were high school students, and they threw rocks at us, and they beat us up, and we learned to run really fast. Of course, you couldn't always outrun them, and so I got my share of being beaten up after school, but somehow you survive, and it was not a pretty period.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely perfect.
Well, I don't know about that.